I will never throw out my pills again. I've already gotten my new pills. I've gotten 5 refills, so I won't have to worry about going to get any of my pills for the next 5 months.
Baylen Dupree's medication confession sparks parenting backlash. Baylen out loud. Hello friends, welcome to my channel. For the latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Baylen Dupree's recent medication storyline has sparked one of the biggest parenting debates surrounding Baylen out loud, and this time, the conversation is not simply about Baylen's health. It is about independence, responsibility, marriage, and how much parents should continue stepping in when their adult child makes a mistake. The discussion intensified after Baylen revealed that she had accidentally thrown away her medication and then faced complications getting it replaced. Online viewers quickly began questioning why the situation became such a major family issue and whether Baylen's parents were helping her or unintentionally making it harder for her to become independent. According to recent fan discussions, viewers were especially frustrated by the fact that Baylen did not immediately appear to know how to handle the medication problem on her own. Some fans questioned why she and Colin did not immediately contact the appropriate medical office or pharmacy to ask about replacement options. Others felt that Baylen's parents were becoming too involved in a problem that Baylen and Colin should have been allowed to manage themselves. That disagreement is important because Baylen is not a child. She is an adult who is building a life with Colin, planning a marriage, and making decisions about her future. At the same time, Baylen has openly discussed living with Tourette syndrome and other challenges, and medication can be an important part of managing health conditions. That means the situation is not as simple as telling someone to just be responsible. The real question is where support ends and control begins. Baylen's parents clearly have concerns because they have lived through years of helping their daughter. They know her struggles, they know how difficult certain situations can become, and they understandably want to prevent something from going wrong. But viewers are increasingly asking whether that concern sometimes turns into overprotectiveness. That criticism is not completely new. Baylen's family has previously been criticized by viewers for becoming heavily involved in her relationship with Colin. In earlier episodes, fans debated the family's involvement in wedding decisions and relationship matters. A previous report also documented strong viewer reactions to Baylen's parents encouraging premarital counseling, with some fans interpreting their behavior as concern while others saw it as interference. Now the medication controversy has brought that same debate back. One side of the audience believes Baylen's parents have every reason to be worried. Medication mistakes can have serious consequences depending on the prescription, and missing medication is not something that should simply be ignored. From that perspective, a parent checking in with an adult child is not automatically controlling. It can be an expression of love, especially when the parent understands the medical challenges involved. But another group of viewers believes the bigger issue is Baylen's independence. Some fans argued that if Baylen is preparing to build a household with Colin, she needs opportunities to solve everyday problems herself. That does not mean she should be left without support. It means she should be given the chance to make the phone call, speak with medical professionals, understand her options, and take responsibility for fixing the problem. That distinction has become one of the central conversations surrounding Baylen out loud. Interestingly, fans have also questioned Colin's role. If Baylen and Colin are building a future together, should Colin be expected to manage her medication situation, or should Baylen remain responsible for her own healthcare? Viewers have very different answers. Some believe Colin should naturally help because he is her partner. Others argue that helping someone is different from taking responsibility for their health. A healthy relationship can involve support without one person becoming completely responsible for another adult's medical decisions. The debate becomes even more complicated because Baylen and Colin have discussed their future family plans. Earlier coverage of the show documented conversations about how Baylen's medications could relate to a future pregnancy, showing that medication and family planning have already been part of their relationship discussions. That makes the current controversy feel bigger than one forgotten or misplaced prescription. Fans are essentially asking whether Baylen is ready for the responsibilities that come with marriage and eventually possibly becoming a parent. That question, however, needs to be handled carefully. Making a medication mistake does not automatically mean someone is incapable of being a good spouse or parent. People forget things. People make mistakes. People misunderstand insurance rules. People sometimes panic when they lose a prescription or discover that a refill is more complicated than expected. What matters is what happens after the mistake. Does the person learn from it? Do they create a system to prevent it from happening again? Do they ask the right professionals for help? Do they take ownership of the situation? Those are much more meaningful questions than simply labeling someone irresponsible. And this is where some viewers believe Baylen's storyline could actually become an important part of her personal growth. Baylen has spent much of her life surrounded by people who want to protect her. That protection may have been necessary at different points in her life. But adulthood requires a gradual transition from being protected to becoming self-reliant. Parents often struggle with that transition. They may understand intellectually that their child is an adult, but emotionally they can still see the person they raised years ago. When that child makes a mistake, the instinct is to step in. The problem is that stepping in every single time can prevent the adult child from learning how to handle difficult situations independently. That appears to be exactly what some Baylen Out Loud viewers are reacting to. Recent online discussions show a sharp divide. Some fans defended Baylen's parents and said their concern was understandable. Others argued that Baylen and Colin are grown adults and should be allowed to manage their own lives. One widely discussed fan thread specifically criticized Baylen's father for contacting Colin about the medication situation rather than speaking directly with Baylen. Another fan discussion focused on the emotional side of parents worrying about a child missing medication, with one viewer describing how frightening similar experiences can be for families. That perspective is important because it reminds audiences that parental reactions may come from fear rather than simply a desire to control. At the same time, there is another issue viewers should remember: reality television is edited entertainment. What audiences see is a selected version of real events. We do not know every conversation that happened off camera, every phone call that was made, or every decision that happened outside the episode. That means it is difficult to judge the complete situation from a few minutes of television. The medication controversy also should not turn into speculation about Baylen's private medical details. Her treatment belongs to her, and viewers should be careful about assuming what medications she takes, why she takes them, or what consequences might result from missing them unless Baylen, or her medical team, has publicly explained those details. What can be discussed is the broader lesson. Baylen's situation has opened a conversation about what adulthood actually looks like when someone has health challenges. Independence does not mean never needing help. Responsibility does not mean doing everything alone. Support does not have to mean control. And parenting an adult does not necessarily mean parenting them the same way you did when they were a child. For Baylen, the most important outcome may not be whether viewers think her parents were right or wrong. It may be whether this experience helps her develop stronger systems for managing her own responsibilities. For Colin, it may be an opportunity to understand how to support Baylen without becoming responsible for every decision she makes. And for Baylen's parents, it may be a reminder that sometimes loving your adult child means allowing them to struggle, learn, make corrections, and prove that they can handle more than you think. That is why the medication storyline has created such a strong reaction. It is not really just about a bottle of medication. It is about a young woman moving from dependence toward independence while her family learns how to let go. It is about a couple preparing for marriage while discovering what responsibility looks like inside a partnership. And it is about parents facing one of the hardest challenges imaginable, knowing when to step forward and knowing when to step back. Whether viewers believe Baylen's parents crossed a line or were simply protecting their daughter, one thing is clear: this storyline has touched a much bigger nerve than anyone expected. Baylen Out Loud has always shown the tension between Baylen's independence and her family's desire to protect her. The medication controversy has simply brought that tension into sharper focus. And now fans are left asking the question that may become increasingly important as Baylen and Colin move forward with their lives. Can Baylen's family learn to trust her enough to let her handle the difficult moments herself? Because growing up is not about never making mistakes. It is about learning how to recover from them. And for Baylen, that may ultimately be the most important part of this entire conversation. The conversation surrounding Baylen Dupree's medication situation becomes even more complicated when fans start looking beyond the immediate incident and consider what it could mean for her future. Baylen is entering a completely different stage of life. Marriage, household responsibilities, finances, relationships, and personal health decisions all become more important when someone is building a life with a partner. That is why viewers are paying such close attention to how Baylen handles difficult situations. The biggest concern among some fans is not that Baylen made a mistake. It is what happens after the mistake. When someone loses or accidentally throws away medication, the responsible response is to contact the appropriate healthcare provider or pharmacist, explain what happened, and follow professional instructions. Depending on the medication, replacement rules can vary. Some prescriptions can be replaced easily, while others may require additional approval. That is precisely why viewers should not assume that Baylen could simply walk into a pharmacy and receive another supply. Still, the criticism from viewers is focused less on medical procedure and more on personal responsibility. Some fans believe Baylen should be taking a stronger role in managing her own healthcare. They argue that if she is old enough to make major decisions about marriage and her future, she should also be learning how to handle everyday responsibilities connected to her health. Other viewers disagree. They point out that having a disability or chronic condition can make ordinary responsibilities more complicated. Something that looks simple from the outside may require more planning, communication, and support. They believe it is unfair to judge Baylen based on one incident without understanding everything happening behind the scenes. This is where the conversation becomes especially sensitive. Baylen has openly allowed cameras into some of the most personal areas of her life. Viewers have watched her navigate Tourette syndrome, family disagreements, relationship challenges, and major life decisions. That openness naturally creates strong emotional reactions. But being open about your life does not mean the public knows every detail. Fans may see a conversation, but they do not necessarily see what happened before it or afterward. That is why some viewers are urging others to separate criticism of Baylen's choices from speculation about her medical condition. There is also a parenting lesson hidden inside the controversy. Parents often spend years solving problems for their children. They make appointments, organize medication, communicate with teachers and doctors, handle emergencies, and protect their children from consequences. Eventually, however, the child becomes an adult. That transition can be difficult for everyone. A parent may think, "I know how to fix this." The adult child may think, "I need to learn how to fix this myself." Both perspectives can come from love. But when the parent always takes over, the adult child may never get the chance to develop confidence. That appears to be what some Baylen Out Loud viewers are debating. They want to know whether Baylen's parents are giving her enough room to become independent, or whether their constant involvement is creating a cycle where Baylen depends on them whenever something goes wrong. At the same time, it would be unfair to say that parental involvement automatically means Baylen cannot function independently. Families are complicated. Some adults remain very close to their parents and still manage their own lives successfully. Asking for help is not the same thing as being incapable. In fact, knowing when to ask for help can be a sign of maturity. The real issue is whether the help is requested and constructive, or whether it is imposed. That distinction could become increasingly important as Baylen and Colin prepare for their future. Colin has also become part of this discussion because viewers are watching how he responds when Baylen faces stressful situations. A partner should be supportive, but support can take many forms. Sometimes support means helping someone make a phone call. Sometimes it means listening. Sometimes it means reminding them about something important. And sometimes the most supportive thing is allowing them to handle the situation themselves. That balance is not always easy. For Baylen and Colin, learning that balance may be one of the biggest challenges of their relationship. Marriage does not mean becoming responsible for every aspect of your partner's life. It means becoming a team, while still respecting each other's individuality. That could be especially important for a couple who have been surrounded by family opinions and public attention. Baylen's relationship with her parents has always been a major part of her story. Their concerns about Colin, their opinions about the wedding, and their involvement in major decisions have created emotional moments throughout the series. Now, the medication situation has added another layer. Some viewers believe Baylen needs her family. Others believe she needs more distance from them. But there may be another answer: she needs both support and independence. Those two things do not have to conflict. Baylen can love her parents and still establish boundaries. She can appreciate Colin's support without expecting him to solve everything. She can make mistakes without those mistakes defining her. And she can learn from difficult moments without being treated like a child. That may ultimately be the most positive way to view the controversy. Instead of asking whether Baylen is responsible enough, perhaps viewers should ask whether the people around her are creating an environment where responsibility can grow. Because independence is developed through experience. People become confident by solving problems. They learn by making mistakes. They become responsible by being trusted with responsibility. That does not mean families should abandon someone who needs help. It means the goal should be to provide the right amount of assistance. There is also a bigger issue with the way reality television audiences respond to personal struggles. Once a person becomes a reality TV personality, viewers sometimes feel as though they know that person personally. They see emotional conversations, family conflicts, celebrations, and stressful situations. It can become easy to forget that the person on screen is still living a private life away from the cameras. Baylen is not simply a character. She is a real person dealing with real consequences. That does not mean viewers cannot criticize what they see. Reality television naturally invites opinions. But criticism should be based on what is actually known rather than assumptions about her health or abilities. The medication controversy has also reminded fans that Baylen's story is more complicated than a simple headline. Parenting backlash may sound dramatic, but underneath the controversy is a much more ordinary family struggle. Parents worry. Adult children want freedom. Partners want to help. Everyone believes they know what is best. And sometimes those good intentions collide. That is exactly what makes the storyline so relatable. Many families have experienced some version of this situation. A parent worries that their adult child is making a mistake. The adult child feels judged or controlled. The partner becomes caught in the middle. Suddenly, a small problem turns into a much bigger argument. The difference is that Baylen's family is experiencing that dynamic in front of millions of viewers. That public attention can make every disagreement feel bigger. For Baylen, the healthiest response may be to focus on what she can control. She cannot control every opinion online. She cannot control how viewers interpret a scene. She cannot control whether fans agree with her parents. But she can control how she handles her responsibilities moving forward. She can create systems that make medication management easier. She can communicate directly with her healthcare professionals. She can ask for help when necessary. And she can establish boundaries with the people who care about her. For her parents, the challenge may be equally important. Protecting Baylen does not necessarily mean preventing every mistake. Sometimes protection means giving her the confidence to handle mistakes. That could be the biggest lesson from this entire situation. As Baylen moves toward marriage and adulthood, the audience will likely continue watching how she balances independence with family support. And if the medication controversy has shown anything, it is that fans are deeply invested in that journey. Some will continue defending Baylen. Some will continue criticizing her. Some will defend her parents. Others will argue that the family needs to step back. But perhaps the most reasonable conclusion is somewhere in the middle. Baylen deserves support. Baylen also deserves independence. Her parents deserve understanding. And her future with Colin deserves room to grow without every challenge becoming a family-wide emergency. The real test will not be whether Baylen ever makes another mistake.